Alrighty, so welcome to week 5 in CIT 28 client server databases, or what I'm going to rename soon through curriculum Intro to SQL. In this week 5, we're going to continue the cyber chase problem sets that I've created. Okay, so in this week, the cyber chase part 2, and I'm just looking at it here as far as the topics that we're going to cover. The only difference that is in this one, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here as I bring it up, is the instruction as far as the way it works is just like last week. Now, at this point, I'm actually at the end of week 3, so I haven't had anybody go through it yet, so it's hard for me to speak to any specific issues that may have arisen. But in this case, the only difference is that on each problem, um, last time I actually gave a hint for what commands that you want to look at, but this time I didn't. Okay. So, but I have kept in the columns and the rows you would expect. And if you didn't get that how to count, I actually included that in week 4 in the attendance for how to actually write SQL. I don't require it, but if you want to know how many records got returned, but I think this week actually they're not big ones that are getting returned, so maybe it's not as much of an issue, but it's good to know how to do that. Okay, coming back here. So, so the thing I want to say and preface this week is that remember, this class has a code review, and I know you've heard me talking about it and I've harped on it. And the reason I keep bringing it around is that the reason you want to be authentically working, and yeah, I give you a proof of effort for that, is that, you're going to come in for an interview. And yeah, I may be the first person you interview with in this way, technically, but I won't be the last because this is a common practice. And really, as I've said before, this is a way that we assess how well you have this skill. Now, this week, as we continue the problem sets, as I said last week, we're moving from you coding along and then doing the AI and then doing the AI reviews and then doing the code challenges that I present. Now this is what you're doing this week. Now, next week, we're going to return to code alongs and our really important topic of relating. But I just want to bring that back around as far as the importance of authentically. And now I'm not going to, there's not a lot of problems, but that really, depending on your skill and your ability to take and read a problem and write SQL, which is why I have the attendance that we're going to do in a minute. That's actually was my motivation because I know sometimes reading something and then being asked to write SQL, that problem solving is challenging. The more you do it, the more you grow that muscle. But I want to give you an experience to help with that. But before I jump into that, I just want to say the following: that many of you are taking breaks, which is great. Definitely, if you can, get it done. The sooner you get it done after you take that break and you resubmit. Now, here's the key is resubmit so it flags me that you've actually resubmitted it. And then I will go in there and review it. Because the thing is, there's a timing issue if you want my review, right? Because I grade in the morning. And I generally, once I sit down and grade whatever's been submitted the night before, I'm pretty much done grading because I'm on to doing content, or I'm on to doing my campus other duties, and generally content is what I'm working on. So in this case, the reason I put taking breaks timing in my review is that in order for you to get my review and therefore benefit from that review, if there is issues I found, you really need to plan for 24 hours ahead. Okay. And I know that can seem like, and some people like they just wait till the due date, which I get as well, right? Just know that you don't benefit from that review cycle. So I just want to say, in general, that's the way this works. If you're going to take a break, cool. Submit early, submit quickly after that if you can, if you want review, and then gives me time to review and you time to fix. Okay, so I've written a prompt here. and I'm not going to go through it because you're actually going to copy and paste this into your whatever your favorite Gen AI is. And I, of course, use, not of course, you may have heard me say I use Gemini all the time. So I paste it into here. I actually did paste it into chat as well. But this prompt is really intended to help you. This is something I saw a student say, and I think it's really important. But anyway, you can see what happens here. It greets you. It's going to give you a data set, a simple data set. It's going to give you what each column is, right? And it's going to break down. So it's going to give you a problem, but then it's going to walk you through the idea of how to convert that into what we recognize is, right, find titles and prices. In this case, it translates to the SQL titles and prices, select titles and prices, where the data comes from, right? What are the specific conditions? Because when you get more experience doing this, that's when you read these problems, you can kind of help mentally organize to actually create that. So, and then it gives you the solution, right? But then it's going to have you, okay, your turn now. You do that. So it'll give you another one, right? And it'll give you a variation on the one that you just saw. So this is where, and I don't grade your output. It's really there for you to take this opportunity to continue your skill development. And in this case, in a way that is keyword mapping. I think this is really something if you can get in your brain. And I know for me, it helps when I look at a problem or, that I need to solve with SQL, breaking that down can be really, really helpful. Sometimes it pops into my head, sometimes it doesn't. I need to think about it. And that's the other thing. That's why working ahead, because sometimes you have to look at a problem, think about a problem, give yourself a little time to be in that uncomfortableness of that problem. It's like, I don't know the solution. That's often when we learn. Okay. So what you're going to do here, and it's going to go through the intention is for you to go through 3 of these rounds, right? So it'll show you, walk you through, help you do that keyword mapping, and then it'll give you a variation to do. So do that 3 times, right? So then in your reply, tell us about your experience of doing this work. Now, you don't share your output of the conversation. You can share a link. I think I've shown this before, is that all of these can be shared. So if somebody wanted to go in and see your conversation, you're not required to. Really, what you're doing here is just talking about you're writing about your experience, okay? So in this case, I actually have a specific link that I want you to do because this is the idea of how we learn, right? So because sometimes it's like do and then write about it. And then one substantive reply. And you've heard me say before that the hope would be that you go find people who haven't had a reply. That's generally the way I ask people to approach discussion boards is find somebody down on the list because generally the first folks that post are the ones that get the most replies, and they're generally students a little further down the list that would probably like to have a reply. I guess the question would be is do you go get that? Do you go look afterwards to see who replied to you? And maybe you don't. Okay, so that's the attendance for week 5. There's no AI review. We'll be back on that process next week in week 6, which is crazy to think we're moving into week 6. All right, have a great week. Reach out for help when you need it. To myself, Brianna. Look at my office hours. By the way, just real quick, it's actually Monday through Thursday, 1 to 1:50, and then Friday Zoom only, 11 to 11:50. Okay, but they're listed up in simple syllabus. All right, talk to you later.